Greetings, Poke fans! Michael here, and welcome to the newest video in my My Pokemon Story series. The series where I tell you guys some fun, interesting, or awful stories from my Pokemon past, and then give you guys the chance to share some of yours down in the comments below. If you missed the last one, my best Pokemon moments, you can click or tap in the card up in the upper right hand corner to go watch that, which I highly recommend you do. But anyways, this video is going to be my hardest Pokemon battles ever. Now when I say my hardest Pokemon battles ever, that's kind of a tricky thing to quantify or list down, because I've done a solid amount of competitive battling in my time where I just go online on the Battle Spot or Pokemon Showdown and I just get absolutely destroyed by someone who knows what they're doing a lot more than I do. I'm not just gonna list all of those off because, for one, I don't remember all of them, and second, that's not going to be as interesting. This video is going to focus on some very, very difficult Pokemon matches that I have had that I either won or lost that I think were particularly memorable. Some of them were actually on this channel in Let's Plays, and therefore I remember them better because they happened pretty recently. But some are going to be ones that were a long time ago that I may not have filmed and just will have the chance to tell you guys about that I remember because it was like, holy crap, that was really hard. So before we get into the video, be sure to let me know down in the comments below what some of your hardest Pokemon battles ever. Leave a like on the video and subscribe if you have not. And without further ado, here are my hardest Pokemon battles ever. So the first one I'm going to talk about on this list is actually a series of battles, and it was the first time I ever attempted the Pokemon League back in my Pokemon Ruby version. I had never done a Pokemon League before. I had the guidebook, so I knew what the Pokemon were and I knew their levels, but I still underestimated what it would be like, and I was also only going in with my overleveled Sceptile Blade and the Groudon that I had caught toward the end of the game, as you do in Pokemon Ruby version. Essentially, it was just a lot of me going for it and not really knowing what was going on and using a ridiculous amount of potions and revives and stuff like that, and saving before every single battle. So I actually lost quite a lot of them multiple times, but I just turned off the game, so I just was right back to before the Elite Four member that I was fighting just then. And eventually, after a couple tries, I think I lost to, like 3 of the Elite Four members I didn't lose to, but I think Drake I lost to like twice, and Steven I'm pretty sure I lost to like 3 times. But I did eventually win and claim my first ever Pokemon League champion title, but it was pretty substantially difficult for a 9-year-old me, with only a Sceptile, and a Groudon, and some randos. I don't even remember what they were. They've been lost to the winds of time. Moving on. The next one I'm going to talk about is my experience at the VGC Houston Regionals in the fall of 2014. It was VGC 14 format, so only Pokemon that were in the Kalos Pokedex, and it was pretty challenging, obviously. There are a lot of people there who had done a lot of preparation, but at the regionals on Sunday, I actually finished 6-2. I lost my first battle, won my second battle, lost my third battle, but then won 5 straight. And of course, a lot of those were difficult. Some were more difficult than others. But the one of those set of battles that I remember the most vividly, and when I finally got my 5th win on Sunday, achieving my goal of getting a winning record, I was super excited. The battle went down to the wire too, so being able to pull out the win at the very end made it even more great. I barely won. My only Pokemon that was left was my Tyranitar that had probably less than 20 HP left. So that was a big deal. It was very challenging, but I was very pleased with my performance. Went 6-2 like I said, and I actually finished about, I think it was 24th out of like 230 people. So I was very proud of myself for that, and I have not done any competitive VGC stuff since, but at least I can say I did that well. The next one was my 50th battle at the Battle Mason in the double streak. I've discussed this before in other Pokemon Stories videos, so if you have seen those, you already know that I did win, and it is my proudest achievement in Pokemon so far, but it was a really hard battle. It was, the boss has all 3 legendary dogs and a Latios, and that Raikou just gave me so much trouble. I had so much difficulty knocking it down. I believe I was down 3-2 Pokemon at some point, but I could be misremembering that. But the thing that was really ridiculous is that I want to get a hit on the Raikou at one point, and the Raikou has Volt Absorb, which is its Gen 5 and Gen 6 hidden ability, which was never legitimately released. So this Battle Mason chick is hacking illegally. This is BS. But I did end up winning and getting that nice little trophy, but it was challenging. I had only Gardevoir left when I won. Gardevoir, it was a favorable matchup at the end. It was Gardevoir versus Latios, so I was pretty confident once it got down to that I was going to be okay. But I did have some unfortunate misses, and like I said, hitting Raikou with Volt Absorb was pretty bad. But I did end up winning, and I'm very pleased with myself for my great victory in difficult times. The next hardest battle that I remember pretty vividly occurred last fall, and it was in my Pokemon Platinum Nuzlocke, which many of you may have seen. It was the battle against Cyrus, which for the several days leading up to it, I was super nervous for. And the main thing I was nervous for was his Gyarados. The reason I was nervous for his Gyarados is because it had a super effective move for every single member of my team, and I didn't really know how to handle it. But I did come up with this strategy where if he leads with Pokemon, I don't recall which one it was, but I send in Infernape, then he sends in Gyarados, I leave Infernape in. Then, when Gyarados goes for the Waterfall, I switch out into my Luxray, Gigawatt, who then takes the Waterfall hit, but also intimidates the Gyarados. However, when I switch in Gigawatt, the Gyarados went for Earthquake instead of Waterfall, so Gigawatt takes the Earthquake with lowered attack, so it did less than half. However, I'm in a sticky situation because I'm scared about it surviving another Earthquake, so what I realize I can do is switch Gigawatt out and bring in Metal the Gliscor, which I do, and then Earthquake doesn't hurt Gliscor, which is great. And so then, okay, so it's gonna go for Ice Fang. Now I can switch in Luxray again, Gigawatt the Luxray, and it takes a half attack Ice Fang, which shouldn't do much at all, and then I take a turn to heal. It'll use Earthquake. Earthquake will do even less than it did before, and then I'm good to go for a Spark and one-shot the Gyarados. However, when I brought Gigawatt back in, and on the turn that I healed her back up to full, Gyarados' Earthquake critical hits, ignoring the halved attack and one-shotting Gigawatt, losing Gigawatt, and because it's a Nuzlocke, I can't do anything. Like, I can't revive her. So, that was bad. And then, immediately, then I'm stuck using Gardevoir to try and knock this Gyarados out, which I had to heal Gardevoir a couple times. Then the other members weren't too bad. I believe it was Weavile was fine. Honchkrow, I believe, was fine. I don't recall the exact details, but they weren't much trouble. But then Crobat was bad. Crobat kills Gardevoir because he used Cross Poison, which at the time I did not know had a higher critical hit ratio. It's one of those attacks like Leaf Blade or Slash, and I didn't know that, so I lose Gardevoir to that. 2 Pokemon dead in one battle. First time experiencing that. And then I bring in Metal. Metal gets down to like 6 HP. Almost dies. Then I bring in Golduck and have to heal it a couple times, but eventually KO Crobat with Zen Headbutt. But that Cyrus battle, I lost 2 Pokemon in the battle against Cynthia later in that series, but I did not think it was as challenging as this Cyrus battle, because this Cyrus battle, I was afraid I was going to lose. The Cynthia battle, I was frustrated because I lost 2, but I still felt like I was in a relatively safe position. But this Cyrus battle, very, very challenging, and losing 2 Pokemon in one battle for the first time ever, I nicknamed that day Black Wednesday, so that battle was rough. The next very difficult battle that I encountered was in my Pokemon Gaea Let's Play. It was the 4th gym, and it was a bug-type gym. Now, keep in mind, up to this point, the gym battles I'd had were extremely easy. They were no effort, used 1 Pokemon, swept them, didn't get below half health. They were not difficult at all. So I was expecting something similar with this bug battle. I go in, and all of his Pokemon are 2 levels above mine, minimum, which I was not prepared for. I took down the Shuckle fairly well. That, it took multiple hits, but then things got bad when Scizor comes in. Scizor knows U-turn, which I was not really expecting, and it does a ton of damage, And so I'm stuck with trying to bring a Pokemon in that's good against one of these bug Pokemon, but then he does U-turn, and the next Pokemon that gets brought in isn't good against, like, you know, I didn't have any Pokemon that were good against all of his bug types because of the secondary typings that were involved. So Scizor was doing a bunch of damage. Masquerain caused a lot of problems with Intimidate, lowering my physical attack of my Pokemon, and also, I lost Boldore, which I was planning to use for a lot of these bug types. I lost it to Scald on Masquerain, which I didn't know that it had. So that was a really big setback. And so I'm going through like thinking this is really challenging. Like this is, you know, one of the harder battles that I've had. And then he brings in Mega Beedrill. Oh, if this guy has a Mega Beedrill, I am just freaking, I'm done. I'm so done. I can't do anything. I hate that I have to use so many potions. Oh, come on! Jesus! And I'm just like, I'm entirely screwed. Like, there's nothing I can do against this thing, because U-turn, it's just way too powerful, and then immediately switching out, so even if I survive the attack, you know, the new one that comes in, it's not as good of a matchup, and I lost the battle. I lost the gym battle for the first time since one of my probably third generation games when I was a little kid, you know, 10 years old. That was the first gym battle I lost in a very long time. And so I had to grind before I could record the next episode, and even going in with Pokemon that were the same level, it was still challenging. I believe I still could have won, but the only reason I ended up winning is because I was able to get up Stealth Rocks with Boldore, which did a ton of damage to the Masquerain, because, you know, it halves its health immediately, but I still got relatively close. I'd still 2 Pokemon fainted, which was a big deal because I only had really 3 of my 6 that were decent matchups. 4 of the 6 actually. I used Talonflame, Zebstrika, Mega Blastoise was a Wartortle in the first attempt, and then Boldore. Torterra and Espeon weren't going to help at all, so losing 2, I mean, I lost half of my useful Pokemon. So it was definitely the most challenging battle I've had with really strong Pokemon using the strategy of U-turn. U-turn is such a good move. And so I lost the first time, and that was definitely the hardest gym battle that I've ever had to do. Against a freaking bug-type gym of all types. You wouldn't expect that, would you? You'd expect Dragon to be hard, or like Steel, but Bug? I was underprepared and lost on camera. So, stupid bugs. And the last battle that I'm going to talk about is similar to the last one in that it was against a bug-like Pokemon. The Laurentis isn't bug-type. But anyways, the Laurentis trial in my Pokemon Sun version. I've discussed this battle in a lot of videos because it's one of the craziest things to ever happen to me in a Pokemon game. But in my Sun Let's Play, I go into the Laurentis battle thinking it should be fine. The totem battles up to this point weren't too bad. But then things got dicey when Castform came in and triggered Sun. This was bad because my Pokemon that had a type advantage against the Laurentis, mainly Havoc the Charge-a-Bug, and Sammy the... wow, I've forgotten the middle evolution of Decidueye. Dartrix! Poor forgettable middle evolution. But those 2 Pokemon have the type advantage against Laurentis. Dartrix with Flying, Havoc with, or Charge-a-Bug with the Bug type advantage. The problem with that is they're both weak to fire, which is what the Castform with Weather Ball would trigger, and then it would be super effective against them. My Salandit Melody, I didn't bother leveling up, so it was way too underleveled and just got obliterated immediately. And it was a very challenging battle because Havoc would use Acrobatics and do a little bit more than half on the Laurentis, but then it would just Synthesis all the way back up. And it was like, how am I supposed to beat this thing? And I actually, during the battle, thought that Synthesis had 10 PP. And then I take out the Castform, then a Trumbeak comes in, another Pokemon that has a type advantage, and it starts confusing me. And I lost 3 of my 6 in that battle. I never brought in Dartrix, but Hero, the shiny Gumshoos, went down, Melody, the Salandit, went down, and Kenai, the Lycanroc, he goes down. I brought him in to Accelerock the cast form, try and KO it, knowing that Lycanroc would go down, and then it doesn't KO the cast form, so I'm just like... But I eventually did win the battle, thanks to the most clutch moment ever. Havoc gets attacked by X-Scissor, brings it down, critical hit with half defense, brings that down. The Trumbeak goes for Pluck, and Havoc survives with 1 HP, and then is confused and doesn't hurt itself. And then I Acrobatics the Laurentis, defeat the Laurentis, heal Havoc back up, and finish off the Trumbeak with a Spark. So that totem battle was easily the most difficult that I have had in both of my playthroughs. The Wishy-Washy one in my Moon Wonderlock was also very challenging, but the Laurentis one, I don't know if I could have won it if Havoc had not had that amazingly clutch moment. I very well could have lost it, so that was extremely challenging. Alright guys, that is the end of my hardest Pokemon battles ever. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like down below. Also, like I said, be sure to comment below what some of your hardest battles ever. I'm really excited to read some of those fun stories about crazy battles and stuff like that. Also, be sure to leave suggestions for other Pokemon stories you want me to tell. Next week is going to be Pokemon Talk 27, and then the week after that is going to be all of my shiny Pokemon. I'll be showing them off and telling you how I found them and stuff like that. So, comment below some of your hardest battles ever, and what you think I should tell stories about in other videos. Thank you guys again so much for the support and watching my videos. It helps me out a lot. I'm really excited to keep making more awesome content for you guys, and that is all I have for now. So until next time, fans, how to catch them all!